You ever see something so perfectly timed it stops looking like coincidence and starts looking like choreography? Like when the beat drops exactly as the lights hit and the crowd screams on cue, not because they felt it, because they were meant to feel it. That's what this is. We are told he converted for love, for faith, for God. And I'm sorry, but that conversion landed with the spiritual weight of a LinkedIn profile update. No struggle arc, no long public spiritual journey, no visible wrestling with theology, identity, community, or consequence. Just engaged, converted, married, paid consultant, bismillah, and balance sheet. Let's just say the quiet part loud. This didn't look like a man finding God. It looked like a man finding access. Faith with a press release. In most religious traditions, conversion is a storm. It breaks you open. It rearranges your nervous system. It costs you friends, sometimes family, sometimes work. In Islam especially, conversion is usually loud inside but lonely outside. You lose alcohol, you lose certain friendships, you gain discipline, community, structure, prayer, obligation. You don't just gain marriage rights, but this one arrived pre-packaged. No public shahada footage, no visible integration into the Muslim community, no spiritual testimony arc, just an announcement through a political spokesperson. That alone tells you everything. When your conversion is narrated by a press secretary and not a person, you didn't find God. You found a narrative utility upgrade. Faith as a firmware patch. The conversion industrial complex, let's not pretend this is rare. White men converting for proximity is a genre, not always malicious, sometimes romantic, sometimes curious, sometimes sincere, but there is a specific political variant that deserves its own warning label. Conversion for access, validation, and protection, the religious version of a security badge, because suddenly you're not the outsider, you're not the interloper, you're not the awkward white boyfriend in a visibly Muslim political brand. Now you're one of us. No awkward optics, no structural questions, no interfaith complications, just seamless brand alignment, faith as brand synergy. Love is real, power is realer. Before anyone starts crying that I'm anti-love, relax, people fall in love. Power doesn't cancel chemistry, attraction doesn't vanish in the presence of ambition. But when you are a paid political consultant, you are romantically involved with the politician, you convert during the engagement, you marry into the brand, and money is flowing the whole time. You are no longer in a love story, you are in a corporate merger. And like all mergers, the press release talks about shared values, the paperwork talks about assets. Islam as armor. Here's the part people tiptoe around. Once converted, he's not just her husband, he becomes a shield, a translator, a proof of legitimacy, a living counter-accusation. Criticize her, you're now potentially attacking Islam. Question the relationship, now you're interrogating a Muslim marriage. Investigate finances, now it's Islamophobic scrutiny. The conversion does not just add belief, it adds institutional insulation. That's not spirituality, that's strategic shielding. The race, layer everyone avoids, now let's touch the wire nobody wants to. When a white man converts for proximity to a Muslim black woman in American politics, something very specific happens. He gets to borrow marginalisation without inheriting danger. He can perform minority alignment without generational consequence. He can speak on Muslim issues without growing up Muslim. He can benefit from the cultural shield without carrying the historical weight. It's minority cosplay with a wedding ring. And before anyone says, that's disrespectful, ask yourself this. Would a poor working class white man with no political value get the same grace, protection, access, and platform through conversion alone? No. Which tells you the conversion isn't doing the work, power is. Money doesn't convert. Let's leave romance for a second. Let's talk invoices. There was paid consulting before the marriage, paid work during the relationship, paid political proximity wrapped in intimacy. That doesn't make someone corrupt automatically, but it does mean every spiritual claim exists inside a financial echo chamber. When faith enters at the same moment as fiscal entanglement, you don't get purity, you get cross-contamination. God and money share a joint account. Performance versus practice. Here's the simplest test. Real Muslims change daily behavior, diet, prayer schedule, social life, language, ritual. Real converts talk about the struggle, the loneliness, the awkwardness this conversion gave us. No community story, no internal conflict, no daily transformation narrative, no visible immersion into Muslim life, just the title. And in every culture on earth, titles without practice are called what they are: costumes. The four sacred. Politics eats everything it touches, even God, especially God. Left-wing secular politics loves using Islam as a shield against criticism, a diversity badge, a moral high ground generator, a rhetorical tripwire, but it rarely respects Islam as a discipline. It wants the identity, not the obligation. It wants the symbolism, not the submission. So when a conversion conveniently aligns every optics incentive imaginable, skepticism isn't bigotry. It's common sense with eyebrows raised. Love, but make it immune. This relationship is now interracial, interfaith, political, corporate, symbolic, legally mutual, spiritually convenient, and rhetorically untouchable. It checks every modern immunity box. Try criticizing anything about it and you're automatically framed as racist, Islamophobic, anti-love, anti-women, anti-immigrant, anti-progress. Meanwhile, the actual conversation about money, power, conversion and optics never gets addressed because the armor works. The fraud of private faith in public power. They'll say, it's personal, it's private, it's between them and God. Cute. But when your relationship intersects with public office, campaign money, foreign policy narratives, religious identity politics, and international symbolism, it stopped being private the moment it became profitable. You don't get private mysticism and public leverage at the same time. Pick one, what was never publicly performed. We never saw a public shahada moment, a spiritual struggle interview, a community integration narrative, a theological learning arc, a long conversion journey. We saw a confirmation, a marriage, back to business. That absence is loud because real converts usually want to talk about it. It changes them. It costs them something. This one looked frictionless. Frictionless conversions in high-power environments always deserve scrutiny. When faith enters money, money never leaves. This is the quiet spine of the whole situation. Once finance exists in a system, it never politely bows out just because spirituality walks in. Campaign money was present, political influence was present, consulting structures were present. So when faith arrived, it arrived inside a financial cathedral. Money does not convert, it adapts. God was plugged into an already electrified grid. This is not an attack on Islam, this is an attack on the use of Islam as a political firewall. This is not about love, it is about leverage dressed as devotion. This is not about Tim Mynett's heart, it is about the timing of his belief. Ilhan Omar did not marry a Muslim man. She married a man who became Muslim at the moment it solved every remaining political contradiction in the story. And that is why people don't buy the sanctified version, because God may move in mysterious ways, but campaign strategy does not. Not left, not right, just real.